Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to create a pleated skirt, shirring skirt and denim skirt. Making a skirt can be really simple and quick in CLO 3D. For example, like this circle skirt, I was able to make it under 2 minutes. However, it can also be quite complicated like this 3D flower skirt that took me hours to finish. But, once you know how to use the tools in CLO and practice more, it gets easier. Let's start with the first demonstration. The pleated skirt. Making a pleated type of skirt usually takes a while. However, in CLO 3D, there's a tool called Pleated Fold that will make you life so much easier. First, let me upload a basic skirt block to the avatar. For this skirt, I will create front and back yoke. I prefer to keep waist and hip area smooth. Now I have added the yoke and it's time to make pleated section. Start with the front skirt panel. By the way, I am making only half of the skirt first and later duplicate a symmetrical pattern for the other side. Create a rectangle shape following the width of the yoke. Make 2 duplicates. Or you can just make a wider rectangle instead. Merge all 3 rectangles together. Use Trace tool to delete merge lines and remove all the points on pattern outline. Select 2 segment lines, right-click and choose Distribute internal lines between segments. I added 14 offsets to make total 15 pleat panels. Once it's done, all the internal lines will be highlighted as yellow. Go to Property Editor to turn on Fold Rendering. Then right-click on the yellow internal lines. Select Extend Trim and add Point to Pattern Outline. You want to make sure all the internal lines are divided from pattern outlines. This way you won't have problem using the pleated function. Go to 2D window toolbar, choose Pleated Fold. Go back to skirt pattern, click from first internal line and drag across to the last internal line. This will bring out a new window. Select knife pleats and choose 3 for number of internal lines per pleat and click OK. Go to 2D window toolbar and select Pleat Sewing. Click a start point on the yoke pattern and click once at the end of the yoke. Following same direction to click the start point on pleated skirt panel and move to the end, click again to finish. You can check the sewing lines to see if they are sewn correctly. Before you simulate, make sure to strengthen your skirt pattern. This will help to get a nice fold edge. Click Simulate and adjust the skirt if you need to. If everything looks good, select both yoke and skirt pattern. Right-click and choose Symmetric Pattern with Sewing to create the other side of the skirt. Sew the center front seam together. Repeat the same steps to make the back skirt. And there, I have made a knife pleated skirt. Remember to lower particle distance, so the pleats will drape nicer. Here is additional information you should know when using pleats fold. The number of pleat panels will affect the result of using pleats sewing tool. A knife pleat is made with 3 internal lines. It also has 3 pleat panels. The total pleat panels on the skirt should be able to be divided by 3 evenly. As you can see on the demonstration, I made 15 fold panels on each side of the skirt. Divided by 3, I got 5 pleated folds on each side of the skirt. Here is the example when you have the panels that can't not be divided by 3. I made a 10 pleat panels pattern. And when I tried to sew it with pleats sewing tool, I ended up with an extra panel that couldn't be sewn. Here is another example that I made 13 pleat panels. And I ran into the same issue. When I changed to 21 pleat panels, which could be divided by 3 and resulted with 7 pleated folds. And I didn't have any problem using pleats sewing tool. This is from my experience of using this function. Pleated fold and pleats sewing tools are good for creating a full pleated style. But if you want to have only couple pleats on the skirt, here is the way to do it. First, create internal lines on the location you want the pleats to be. Right-click on the internal lines and choose Cut and Sew. After separating the pieces, add the pleat panel by right-click on the cut line. Choose Offset Pattern Outline. Enter the offset distance and click OK. Use Trace tool to click Offset Line and hit Enter or Return key to turn it into a red internal line. Strengthen all pattern pieces. Go to 3D Window toolbar. Use Fold Arrangement tool to fold the top layer pleat panel. Then use Gizmo to move under layer pattern close to the folded panel. Use Sewing tool to connect all the skirt pieces back together. Next step. Use Free Sewing tool to close top pleat fold and the under pleat fold. Once it's done, you can attach the pleated skirt to yoke or waistband. Use symmetrical pattern with sewing to make the other side of skirt. Repeat the same process to make the back skirt. If your pleats open up and stick out a lot, you can use Free Sewing tool to sew the fold lines to close up the pleats opening. The next example I am going to show you is Shirring Skirt. To make shirring style, you get better result when you use a softer fabric that can drape really well. For my design, I am using knit jersey fabric from CLO library. First, let me create the base skirt bodice. Next step. Add internal lines on the skirt pattern where I wanted the shirring to be. Once the internal lines are made, right-click and choose either cut or cut and sew. To make shirring, you need to use slash and spread function, which is located in the 2D window toolbar. When you click the function, you will see two options: fullness point and fullness line. I will demonstrate both options on the skirt. Back to the skirt pattern. I placed a start and end point on the shirring line since I didn't want it to gather through the whole seam. To get an even spread, click on the segment line. Select Add Point Split Line tool from the 2D window toolbar. Move cursor over to the line and right-click to bring out Split Line window. Choose Uniform Split and enter how many points you want to add to the segment. Click OK and you will get an evenly distributed points. Go to 2D window toolbar, under slash and spread, click on Fullness Point. Click a point on the slash line and drag the line to the shirring line, click again. Now you will see the pattern has been divided into two sides. Move your cursor to either side of the pattern and click. You can use your mouse to spread or close the piece. In this case I would need to open it up. When you move the piece, if you right-click, it will bring out the spread window for you to enter the distance you want to spread. This way you can control how much shirring you want to add to the pattern piece. Repeat the same process to slash and spread each point on the line. Once it's done, use Smooth Curve tool to adjust curve shape and also remove unnecessary points. Right-click on the pattern and choose Lock. Then use Trace tool to select all the slash lines. Hit Delete to remove them. Right-click on the pattern and unlock Pattern Outlines. Next, sew the shirring piece back to the skirt bodice. Select the shirring line, go to Property Editor and turn on shirring function to get a more realistic gathering look. Now the front skirt is done. Let's move on to the back. This time, I am going to use fullness line to create shirring. To use this function, you need to have two separated segment lines. On my shirring pattern, I have slash line and shirring line joined together on the top. This is not going to work when using fullness line tool. To fix the issue, I need to add split points. Now I have two separated segment lines. I can select fullness line tool. Select a segment line by click Start and End Point. The first line you select will be your fullness line. Then click Start and End Point to select the second line. This will be your slash line. Right after you select the second line, a fullness window will pop open. You can choose the direction of how you want it to spread. I prefer using both directions. Next, under fullness line length, enter the amount and distance moved depending on how much you want to add the fullness to the segment line. I kept /line distance as 0 since I only wanted to shear one side of the pattern. Click OK to exit. Use Trace tool, click on the /line and delete. Sew the piece back to skirt bodice. Select the fullness line and turn on shirring function from Property Editor. And there, I have made a shirring style of skirt. Don't forget to lower particle distance, cause it will make a huge difference. Here is the final rendering of the skirt. The last example I am going to show you is Denim Skirt. CLO 3D comes with a few preset denim fabric in the library. I am using denim stretch for this demonstration. The preset denim stretch fabric is in black color. If you want to keep the denim texture but use your own color, you can select the fabric in Object Browser. Go to Property Editor, under Basic Parameters. Turn on Desaturation. So, first step, I will make a base skirt bodice with 2 front panels, 2 back panels and waistband. Also I will add a fly front zipper closure. To make fly front zipper, I have to add a stop point at the center front seam. This will be the length of the zipper. Next step is to use internal line to draw the shape of fly front on left front skirt. If your front skirt panels are symmetrical, you can right-click on the piece and choose Remove Link Editing. This way, you won't end up with fly front on both pattern. Use Trace tool, hold Shift and select all the fly front outlines. When all the lines are highlighted as yellow, right-click and choose Trace as Pattern. Select the new pattern piece, right-click and flip horizontally. Merge the piece to the skirt bodice. This will become the fly front facing. Use Trace tool to select Trace line and hit Enter or Return to turn it into internal line. On the right front skirt, right-click the zipper segment line. Select Offset Pattern Outline to make the zipper placket. Add an internal line about 0.1 inch away from center front. I do this to make sure the fly front will cover the zipper completely. On left fly front, I also need to add an internal line around 0.5 inches away from center front seam. This will be used to sew the other side of the zipper. Don't forget to add the extension on the right side of waistband to match the zipper placket I added earlier. Strengthen both front skirt bodice. Go to 3D window. Use Fold Arrangement tool from the toolbar to fold left fly front. Add zipper to the fly front and sew the rest of the center front seam together. Use sewing tool to close top and side of the fly front facing. Click Simulate. It turned out pretty good. And now I can start making back yoke. Okay, now the yoke is done, time to make front pockets. Sewing pocket on pants and skirt can be a little bit tricky. Here are the steps of how I usually make and sew the pocket patterns. First, create an internal line for pocket opening. Then create second internal line for pocket shape. Remove unnecessary point by right-click and convert to curve point. Use Trace tool. Hold Shift and select all the pocket outlines. Then right-click to trace as pattern. You need to make top layer and under layer pocket. Once you have both layer of pockets, strengthen both pocket layers. Cut the pocket opening from skirt bodice and delete the piece. To make it easier to view the pockets, you can hide avatar by using shortcut Shift-A. Use sewing tool to connect top layer pocket to the skirt first. Right-click on top pocket layer pattern and select Superimpose under. As you can see in 3D window, CLO will automatically bring this piece to where you connected it to. Freeze the bottom layer pocket and click Simulate. Make sure this top layer pocket fit correctly to the skirt. It no issues. Unfreeze bottom layer pocket and connect the piece to the top layer pocket and the skirt side seam. Also sew the top section back to waistband. Right-click the piece and superimpose under. Use gizmo to move the piece in 3D window if it's not placed in the correct position. Hit Simulate. And there, I have finished one side of front pocket. To make the pocket for the opposite side, first, cut pocket opening and delete it. Then select both layer of pocket patterns, right-click to make symmetric pattern with sewing. Use gizmo to reposition the pocket inside the skirt and check if you need to add sewing line to connect the pocket to skirt bodice. Click Simulate. And now the front pockets are done. Use button tool from 3D window toolbar to add button on both ends of waistband. Then use select move button tool to convert left front waistband button into a buttonhole. When it's done, choose fasten button tool. Click on the button and drag the line to the buttonhole to fasten it. The hard part of the denim skirt is done. I can start adding details. I am adding 2 back patch pockets. And also top stitching. If you are not familiar with using top stitching, please check my previous video. For this denim skirt, I added puckering to the skirt seams as you can see in most of the denim clothes. You can find this function in 2D window toolbar. The way to use the tool is very similar to adding top stitch. You can adjust puckering density, width, and opacity in Property Editor. You can also choose the material type for the puckering. There are few more details you can add when use denim fabrics. If you want to age a denim fabric or have a stone-washed, bleached and ripped look. In Library, under Hardware and Trims, there's a washing texture folder. In this folder, you can find many preset washing effects. Just simply add it to the garment as a graphic. And you can make all the adjustment in Property Editor. If none of these works for your design, you can find a washed denim fabric online and upload to CLO 3D as texture. Then add normal and displacement map. The last thing I am going to show you is adding belt loops. To do so, first you need to add points to the skirt bodice and waistband for your belt loop placement. On the skirt bodice, you need to add an internal line around 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch below waistline at the belt loop placement. I am making the internal line 1/2 inch below the waistline on this skirt. The waistband is 1.5 inches wide. So the belt loop I am making will be 1.5 plus 1 inch. Once the loop pattern is done, I need to add an internal line 1/2 inch above the bottom of the belt loop. Strengthen the piece and use gizmo to bring it close to the waistband and skirt. Use fold arrangement tool to click on the internal line on belt loop and fold it up. Use sewing tool. Connect bottom of the belt loop to the skirt waistline. Then sew the belt loop internal line to the skirt internal line. Sew top of the belt loop to the top of the waistband. Click Simulate. That's how you will attach the belt loop in CLO 3D. You can add top stitch and bar tack to the belt loop as well. Here is the final render result for the denim skirt. I hope after watching this video, it will help you to create more different types of skirts. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to click like and subscribe.